Okay, so we're now going to look at when you know a ratio of a pair of sides and how you go about finding an angle. So here's an example. So the ratio of those two sides is a quarter. Okay, that side is a quarter of this. But is it sine, cos or tan? So again, you start off by labelling the sides. Hypotenuse opposite the right angle, opposite the angle of interest, so that's the angle of interest. This is next to the angle of interest. You write down SOHCAHTOA. The two of interest to you are the two that you've got. So the opposite side and the adjacent side. So where is opposite and adjacent? 2 ticks in TOA. You can draw the triangle again, TOA, and that stands for T, stands for tan of the angle. So because you want the angle, you can kind of cover that up and say that tan of the angle you want to find is opposite divided by adjacent. The opposite side is 1 and the adjacent side is 4. So tan of the angle of interest is a quarter. Now everything in maths has got an inverse. So the inverse of timesing is dividing, the inverse of adding is subtracting, the inverse of squaring is square root. Well, above the sine, cos and tan buttons is this that says tan to the -1. We call it inverse tan. So to undo the tan, to find out the angle, you press tan to the -1 of a quarter. Okay, so you press shift tan and then you put in a quarter. The angle is 14.0. Angle equals 14.0 degrees. Okay. Next question then. Running out of space on this one. Right, so again, start off by labelling the sides. So let's cover that question up as well so we can't see that. So hypotenuse, opposite the angle of interest, next to the angle of interest. If we write down SOHCAHTOA, two angles that interest, the two sides that interest us now are the hypotenuse and the adjacent, A and H. Where do you see A and H? 2 ticks in cos. So you draw your triangle CAH. C stands for cos of the angle. So again, that's the one we want to find. So cos of the angle is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. Cos of the angle, the adjacent was 5, the hypotenuse was 10. You could simplify that if you want to, or just leave it as it is. So to undo the cos from here, to find the angle, we're doing cos to the -1 of 5/10. Inverse cos 5/10. Okay, you need to close the bracket afterwards. The angle is 60 degrees exactly. One more. Opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, SOHCAHTOA. The two that interest us are O and H, so this time it's sine. O and H are in sine. SOH, sine of the angle, is the opposite, which is 15, opposite divided by hypotenuse, which is 22. To get the angle, we do inverse sine of 15/22. So it's shift sine, fraction button, 15/22 is 42.98, so that's actually 43.0 to 1 decimal place.